So, hello, welcome to Corner Office Cafe. I'm Kate Bachman, contributing editor to MetalForming magazine. And I'm delighted to be here today with Stephanie Lowry. Stephanie is the new CEO of Dayton Rogers. And welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I'm very pleased and delighted to be able to, talk with you today because your company is definitely one of the standout stamper fabricator manufacturers in our
Oh, thank you
industry.
so much.
So thank you. Who are your customers just typically? Do you have a
Yeah.
certain, area that you serve?
Yeah, to be honest, we've got a lot of different customers from a lot of different industries, just due to the nature of what we do. So, since we're a contract stamper and fabricator, we work with all kinds of different industries. Our top industries, I would say, just as a percentage company wide, we do a lot of aerospace and defense work,
Mm,
quite a bit in all of our divisions,
mm,
and medical, industrial equipment. We have a lot of industrial equipment that we work on, agricultural and energy. We're starting to really get into the electronic side of things. More on like panels and different grid type energy things that are happening. But in general, all of our divisions have the same capabilities. They just have areas that they're more specialized in.
Well, now let's talk about your promotion to CEO in, I think it was April. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. April's
Mm.
been it's been a wild ride since April.
Well, would you step
So
us through that ride, that journey a little bit?
yeah, it's actually the combination of a long, rewarding journey of the last 15 years, really. So I started with Dayton Rogers, pretty fresh out of high school. It was supposed to be just a job to kind of get me through college and to figure out, what I wanted to do as I got through my general studies. So I started out as a receptionist in our corporate office. And, as I started to kind of help different departments and do different things, I just became curious. I'm a pretty naturally curious person. And anytime I would see an opportunity, I would just raise my hand and sign up for it. And I had a lot of people give me chances to learn and to grow. And so I started, jumping to all these different departments, and my career path has taken me all over the company since then. So it's been a really rewarding journey. I've had a lot of great mentors and a lot of just learning opportunities over the years.
Very neat. Very neat.
Yeah.
So, what does it mean to you to be the new company leader?
Well, um, gosh, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is, I really genuinely want to be the steward of a great legacy of leaders that have been in this role before me. Um, I want to integrate best practices and tradition with, you know, the new future that's coming in and being able to be the one to bridge that gap. Um, you know, this Dayton Rogers itself has started out and been built on innovation. And so continuing that legacy and making sure that the direction that I'm moving things aligns with, the purpose for why Dayton Rogers started this company to begin with, you know. So it's something I think, I guess, to shorten it or sum it up, big shoes to fill. Big shoes to fill, but I want to inspire the next generation. Of course, we're not here to do it for free, so got to make sure we're, creating value for everybody that is involved, from, our customers to our employees, to our stakeholders, and, just really focusing on a culture of continuous improvement and innovation is really what I'm focused on.
So what are some of the principles or credos that guide your management approach? Are there some that you learned from your 15 years of experience there? Are there some that you want to leave behind? Tell me a little bit about, those principles and credos.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I think that so I'm somebody that believes in, no matter who you interact with, you can learn something from anyone, right? So I do a lot of active listening, but one of the other things that I strive really hard to incorporate in every interaction is uncompromising truth. That was one of the original people values that Dayton Rogers had set up. And that's something that we still have as one of our core values here today. And the actual wording of it is treat others with uncompromising truth.
Hmm.
Um, and I think you can interpret that a bunch of different ways, but to me, that means, direct, honest, respectful communication. Um, I think if you can come at any interaction with that mindset, no matter what, you're going to build trust, right? And it ensures you're addressing the real problem. If if you can get to that place where everyone is able to speak their truth and do it in a way that promotes growth and forward thinking, and not finger pointing, name calling, anything like that. It just creates this culture of psychological safety. And
Hmm.
that's really what we're trying to build here is, everyone's allowed to be a free thinker. If you have an idea, bring it to the table. Not all of them stick, but have the confidence to bring it to the group and see where it goes. So that's one of the things that we still carry on today. Every new employee I meet, I tell them that safety is the number one priority, and I don't care who's asking you to do it. If you feel unsafe, stop, and I will back you up. I try to treat the people that report to me with transparency and trust. Um, I think that if I can't trust my team with something that they believe is the right answer, then they probably shouldn't be on the team. Or maybe I'm not leading them in the way they need to be led. So, delegating or empowering people to be able to run their departments how they see fit, and giving credit where it's due, course correcting if somebody needs some help. But those are the little things that I believe that management should empower their people to do. So just, focusing on transparency and trust. And the last one that I always go into every interaction with is putting the customer first, having that partnership mentality. Because if we're not here to service the customer, right, then what are we doing here?
So, moving on to resources now, we know about the Red Book. I do have any references, videos, podcasts, books, Metal Forming Magazine, PMA,
Oh
anything that you
yeah,
rely on
actually PMA for sure.
for it's helpful in transitioning, to the Dayton Rogers helm.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So,
I didn't
I
mean to
mean,
put words in your mouth.
no, no, actually, PMA is always on my list. I get this question quite a bit actually when I'm doing, these types of things. And PMA is somebody that always comes up on my list. I think that the networking, the data that's provided from PMA, the advocacy up in Washington, and just having that strong network of other manufacturers that are going through the same things that we are, and being able to call somebody up and ask them, hey, how does your sales commission structure look, and having somebody send that to you. There's just a level of trust within PMA that I think is really difficult to find outside of uh, a networking group like this. So I can't say enough about PMA actually. But one of the books that I read that has stuck with me, and I've actually read it 3 times now. It's a book called Good to Great. It's by Jim Collins, and it's basically this emphasis on um, level leadership and how to do that from like a human standpoint, but having that fierce resolve, right? So blending the humility and the resolve, and it places a really big focus on a concept called getting the right people on the bus. Um, and it just goes back to that the people in your company are your biggest engine, right? So what are you doing to develop them, support them, assess them? Because not every person, even if they're great at their job, maybe their core values don't fit what your company's core values are, right? So do they have a seat on the bus? Maybe they have the core values, but the position that they're in isn't their highest and best use. So it really takes you through how to differentiate that. And I think that's a wonderful book.
So, what are some of the greatest challenges you face as CEO, and how do you
Ooh,
approach them?
there's been a few. um, I think that, okay, so if I had to just, kind of off the cuff tell you, I think we're having a talent crisis. I think
Mm.
that navigating technological change has been interesting. And right now, our
Yes.
supply chain is a topic of discussion. So I'll kind of go back and get into that here. But uh, going back to the talent crisis, I think that there's we have a lot of people that are coming out of trade schools that are starting to learn how to program, which is great. That's what you want to see. But we're seeing a deficiency in some of the what I would call soft skills, and I don't mean how to collaborate or how to communicate. Like I think people have got that, especially this newer generation that's coming into the workforce. I think they're okay there. Um, but it's more of, can this person read a blueprint? Can they use measuring equipment? Do they know what a micrometer is? If they do know what a micrometer is or a caliper, do they know how to read fractions and do conversions? So it's the soft skills like that that the schools aren't necessarily honed in on quite yet. They can, come out and read code and program this machine, but they can't check the part coming off of the machine. So
Interesting.
so we're seeing a little bit of a shortage or a deficiency there. Luckily, I think that those are very trainable types of things. There's all kinds of different resources. Most people, are able to pick it up pretty quickly. And I do know another plug for PMA. They have MetalForm EDU, and we actually have utilized that quite a bit here for those employees that we feel we want to be on more of like a leadership trajectory. We'll put them through a MetalForm EDU. We'll purchase a seat for them and put them through a year-long program of that. So, that's an issue that I see here. The other one, like I had talked about, the technological change. There's a bunch of buzzwords. I'll just throw the first one out that everyone thinks of, AI. I mean, it changes everything daily. There's you barely have enough time to comprehend what the newest and greatest, latest thing is before it changes again on you. So, just trying to figure out how to integrate that into our current day-to-day operations. Working with cobots and different things like that to try to take away some of the dangerous tasks from our employees, and use it to increase our quality and different things like that. You can get a cobot that's able to do something that would be pretty dangerous for a human person, um, and drop it right into a different machine where it laser scans the part and does a full quality write-up and then drops it into a box, and it ships straight to the customer at that point because you have all of the data that's been plugged into the computer. So just trying to navigate that, and how that fits in. And then, like I said, the supply chain, we're trying to kind of hone in and develop a more robust local supply chain. We don't have a lot of offshore suppliers, but the ones that we do, we are dealing with the tariffs, as I'm sure, everybody can relate to at this point. Um, and just making sure that any raw materials and things like that, there's enough stock for it, and we're not seeing any shortages, which we haven't yet. So, I'm grateful for that. But those are some of the concerns. off the top of my head that keep me up.
Did you have a night?
But I
So,
have a great leadership team. So I will say, that although it does feel like, trying to keep everything in the air at once, they make it pretty easy on me. They do a good job.
excellent.
Gotta
Excellent.
give credit where it's due.
Got to definitely have those on the bus, right? That's the
Yes,
on the
yes.
bus.
I got great people on my bus.
Excellent. Because we're headquartered in Cleveland, who is your favorite rock and roll Hall of Famer?
Ooh, okay. I love this question, by the way. I love music and I listen to all different kinds of music. It's actually a huge part of my life. So, when I was reviewing, kind of the agenda for this, I had to really put some thought into this one. So, there's just so many good ones. You've got David Bowie, Bruce Springsteen, Chuck Berry, just all these iconic individuals. But I landed on Aretha Franklin.
All right.
Yep, yep, yep. I mean, she's just an icon. Um, and I think she may have been the first female that was inducted into this
Really?
Hall of Fame. Yes,
Really?
yeah. So yeah, that was my final verdict is Aretha. You just can't beat
Excellent.
her. I mean,
Yes, RESPECT.
that's right. That's right. Got woman power.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you so much. This has been a delight. It's been a lot of fun talking with you and
Oh, thank you. I feel
chatting
the
to see
same
things of
way.
us. And thank you. So thanks so much for that. And we'll sign off here.
Okay,
So thank
sounds
you.
good. Thank you, Kate. Thank you for having me.